Today's episode is on how modern society is a breeding ground for incels. Stay tuned. Many of you have seen the film Joker, which portrays the life of loner Arthur in Gotham City, which I'll come back to in a moment. Arthur, a clown during the day, literally wears two masks as he attempts to integrate and feel a part of the world around him. Being unable to blend into society, he becomes a reject and is disregarded, which ultimately leads to his descent into insanity and destruction. Joker should serve as a warning to humanity, as if we're not careful, we could have many more extreme characters such as the Joker around us than ever before. But first, to understand the Joker, we have to look at the environment in which he lived and how his perverse perception caused his detachment from reality and ultimately himself. Gotham City is a dystopian and almost post-apocalyptic society where most are out only for themselves, without a care or thought for anyone else. There is no respect or honor of the family structure, loving thy neighbor, or anything like that. Unfortunately, this description doesn't sound too far-fetched for modern society today. Most individuals are self-serving, no matter the cost, as long as they are not the ones paying the price. Coupled with the issues prevalent in the wider society, Arthur's home life was equally tragic, with his mother, who we later find out abused Arthur for the majority of his childhood. Some would argue that this was the only relationship that he had. This isolation also helped to create the perfect recipe for future destruction. A sick society creates sick people. A fish in a polluted tank will eventually get sick and die. And that's what we see happening in society today. This created the perfect recipe for destruction. Arthur had no refuge, and the only place he could retreat was within himself, which resulted in him creating another persona to protect his core self. Society isn't careful, that could soon become a macro issue. Beyond the masking that Arthur did throughout the film, it was pretty clear that he craved human contact, love, and respect, which no one should be denied. But the film also depicts what the results can be when some men find themselves in this scenario. Let's take a look at what an incel is. According to Google, it's a member of an online community of young men who consider themselves unable to attract women sexually, typically associated with views that are hostile towards women and men who are sexually active. I'm sure at least one person listening to this knows somebody who falls into this category. Some people's idea of reality is so warped due to their early experiences in life, forming their self-image and worth. If you listened to my previous video with Emma, it's clear that individuals go through stages where they may allow themselves to be on the receiving end of abuse and disrespect, or they may become an abuser themselves. And as our society breeds low self-worth, instead of helping individuals such as Arthur, many would cast him out even further, resulting in resentment, creating a deep, toxic cycle. In my first ever YouTube video, I spoke about a good portion of society having unresolved and undiagnosed mental health issues, and I stand by that now more than ever. The internet has provided the perfect guise for individuals who would normally operate around the fringes of society. Now they have access to social media and sites such as OnlyFans, and these platforms provide a safe haven for individuals who may be incels to have their cake and eat it too. Going back to the Joker, aka Arthur, who remembers when he befriends Sophie? At this stage in the film, Sophie is the only woman who has shown Arthur genuine care and respect. In many instances in real life, this becomes a fatal mistake, An innocent and pure interaction can become twisted and misconstrued by individuals such as the Joker. They form a one-sided, fanatical relationship that does not and will never exist in reality. Joker and jokers in our society fall in love with the idea of forming a relationship with the Sophies of the world. She represents much more than what she is, an actual human being. But to the Joker, she represents a safe, peaceful, loving entity, something which he's been deprived of his entire life, and he will do anything to prevent losing that, even if it's something that he doesn't really have. They do one of two things. They form unrealistic, downright disturbing attachments, or they distance themselves, although only physically, whilst they still prey on the idea over and over again in their minds. This is why domestic violence cases and stalking instances and other heinous crimes take place so often. Our society breeds this type of behaviour. Yet, after all of the murderous acts that Arthur ends up committing, it's still easy for viewers to sympathise with him. His entire life he was mocked, abused, and then silenced. Unfortunately, the Joker represents millions of men and women worldwide. So many individuals can relate to him. I'm sure that we have all crossed paths with somebody that resembles the Joker. It may even be yourself. Stay safe, guys, and if you know that you have traits that are not beneficial to yourself or others, get some help. Thank you all so much for listening, as always, and until next time, peace.